Hey, welcome back. In this video, I want to introduce you to AI Automation 101. So I'll give you some examples, some ideas. Ultimately, this is one of those things that you need to experience it for yourself, go play with it, try different zaps, different creations, test it in real life. And if you spend 30, 60 minutes on it and you feel like the tech is beyond you, don't forget you can always go to Fiverr, Upwork, Freelancer, some of the resources we've covered. It just outsources this work for 20, 50, maybe $100. Okay, so I'm gonna cover Zapier and Make. Now, first of all, you should have already your API credits in your account, and you're gonna need this OpenAI account set up for your API keys that you get up here. And then under organization, you'll get your organization ID. So you're gonna need those to connect to Zapier. So when you go in here, they have this new AI screen. I kind of like the classic view, and you can just put in what different apps you want to create. Okay, so you could create automatic content creation. ChatGPT writes content and then distributes it to Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. So you can create really complex zaps that are multi-step, 10, 15 steps. Now you can create simpler zaps with maybe 2, 3 steps. And I wanted to give you this example where I essentially created an auto reply bot using OpenAI API. So it's going to be using these credits that we got for free. And so each time we get a help ticket, essentially in our help desk, customer sends in a question, or a prospect sends in a sales question, or maybe somebody needs tech assistance, then a conversation's created and we reply to them with OpenAI as the first step. It's referring back to a database of our FAQ and stuff like that. And essentially, if the answer is insufficient, they can escalate to a human. But so think about it, in a company where there's 10 support reps, it's all humans answering the questions. And oftentimes these questions are the same. Many of these reps are using keyboard shortcuts to fasten their time. But they're expensive. So with an AI like this, you could potentially reduce the support time required by 80%. Maybe they can keep 2 reps, so there's still that human attention. And what if the AI makes a mistake or the answer is incomplete? You still want that human action, but a lot of these questions can be actually answered by AI, automated, save the business thousands of dollars each month, and you just charge a fraction of it, right? So everything else is profit to them. That's why it's very easy to sell these done-for-you services. Right? You don't need a huge name or reputation to go to a business and say, hey, give me $1,000 a month and I'll save you $8,000 in support costs. Just to give you an example. Now, this works with anything, right? You could change this app to Intercom, right? Which is a very popular live chat support system, or Zendesk is a very popular one, right? And I could go on and on. So first thing is you're going to select the event, right? So conversation created or assigned. There's different ways to set it up. Then you're going to connect your accounts. You're going to have to log in. It's going to connect. Then you choose the trigger, right? So they sent an email to this email, this user. You can put in different tags and keywords to say you could even have multiple bots, and you could train them on either tech, sales, regular general customer support. And based on different keywords, that's in the text, you could assign them to different people. Or you could assign if this actually goes to a human, say there's a refund request. Well, maybe you want a human to look at that rather than AI, so you can create that separation. For now, we're going to leave it blank, status active, and then we continue. Then we did a test. Now we skipped it because it said there's no data, but there's definitely some data, so I'll double check that. Nevertheless, we connected to the OpenAI API, send prompt, and this is just an example over here. So of course we connected our account. Like I said, you're going to need your API key, which you find here, and then your organization ID, which you find over there. So once that's done, you'll connect your account. You choose an action model. You can use the DaVinci. I also like either the GPT 3.5 Turbo or the GPT-4, the preview version. So, and you can give it a prompt like, hey, you're a helpful assistant. You can pull the data, the FAQ from this website, try to formulate a concise, helpful answer to the following email by the customer or by the prospect, right? And so here you can take this data from essentially the help scout message, right? That's the whole point of Zapier, is it connects different apps. It lets them talk through API. It pulls the data from help scout. It has the text like, hey, this is what the customer just said. This was the body and then the subject of the email, so this is what the customer said, try to give a reply, sign off as my AI assistant, and you can add a PS at the bottom like, hey, in case this is urgent, important, whatever, you need human assistant, reach out to Mark, for instance, right? And there's many ways to do it, but this should just give you an idea. Then you can go ahead and run a test, and you can actually go ahead and test it for yourself. Send an email to your support ticket system, and then see if you get a satisfactory answer, and then you want to tweak it until that happens. So hopefully that gives you an example like how relatively easy it is to create something that could save hours and thousands of dollars for a business, even more if it's a slightly bigger company, and you could easily charge $500 or $1,000 or even a couple $1,000 a month to deliver such a service. And then you just maintain it, make sure the updates are up to date. If there's any technical outage or any issue, then you double check and fix that. So the toughest part is just setting it up, right? Especially in the beginning, if you're not very tech savvy or maybe not familiar with Zapier Make, it might be a little bit frustrating. But once you get through that, once you set it up, it's very easy. And then inside your account, you'll be able to just literally duplicate these, right, with one click. So next time you set it up, it'll be much easier, and then maintaining it is as well quite easy. Now let me show you Make. So Make is kind of like a Zapier competitor, slightly cheaper, very similar, and they do the same thing. They just have a little bit different design. Now I like them because they have really cool templates, and I'll just give you a couple just to give you an example. So for instance, this is pretty cool. So the AI can write an article on your blog post essentially, and or it can take an article. It could do both, right? You might just need to move some of the stuff around, but it can totally do both. So either take an article, compress it, rewrite it, shorten it, because Twitter has like whatever 140 characters limit, so make sure it's compressed, put it on Twitter. Maybe add a link as well. I'll put it on Instagram, but make sure you add a picture, like maybe you take the thumbnail picture of the blog post, etc., etc. Maybe turn it into a story and put it on an Instagram reel. Like, you can even do that. There's different apps that turn these pictures into video in a couple of seconds, boom, goes up. You can add automatic captions. So again, this video is a 101 introduction, just to repeat myself. So I'm not going to go and show you how to put all of this together because we'd be here for a couple of hours if I go through all these different templates. But again, just go ahead and play with it, and it works in a very similar way. I mean, I'm actually going to pull up a couple just to show you the basics, but wouldn't go through all of them if that makes sense. Like I mentioned, another option, it can write the whole article and then repurpose the content. Now here was another one, is a Telegram bot, right? So you can either use any Telegram bot message to be translated, or kind of like how I did it with Help Scout. If there's any message on Intercom, Help Scout, or Telegram, take that message, analyze it, maybe compare it to like a database of frequently asked questions, and then give an answer to that. You can these days even create GPT bots, which I'll cover in another video. Like for instance here, let me go to Assistants. So you can train entire GPTs, give it tons of files, it can access the web, it can access different tools, and then essentially it can give you personalized feedback. So for instance, I created like this business mentor, and I can give it my different offers and stuff that I have, and it'll give me feedback based on tens of thousands of hours of this business mentor's mind compressed into AI, which is pretty crazy. So I'll cover that in another video. It is somewhat similar to this, but slightly different. But you want to be aware of all of these tools available at your disposal. So I hope that this gives you a basic introduction to AI automation that's possible through tools like Zapier and Make.com. And then as well, in another video, I'll cover the Chat GPT bots that you can create, and then directly in the backend of OpenAI's Playground. So they're two different things, but both of them let you create different like GPTs that you can talk to. Okay. And let me see if this is anything relevant, because then I'll just show it to you. So you see, they have a guided setup, so they'll be able to guide you through it as long as you read these instructions. Like, I just wanted to show you this last thing, because It is essentially identical to Zapier. The only big difference you're going to see is that they have this kind of like water flow setup. So, step 1's up here, step 2, step 3, 4, 5, it's just a waterfall. Here, essentially is just horizontal, right? So it goes to the right, but the idea is the same, right? You connect the application, you authorize it, you select which action you want it to pull, what data you want it to pull, and then how you want the other app to respond to it. And in a similar way, you can create automations as long as you want, 2 steps or 20 steps. Okay, so I think that gives you the 101. Let me know if there's any questions below. Happy to answer them or create another video. And then in the next video, I'll see you explaining how to use the OpenAI Playground and how to create these GPTs.